Good morning. Well, it's me. Sorry, I meant to take these off, but that's fine. Thank you for being a faithful reader of my weekly blog, email newsletter. I've never really made up my mind what to call it. Just wanted to do something different this week because I've got a few things coming up which I'm really excited about. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about my first ever novel called The Hearts of the Fathers, which, believe it or not, I started working on after a bit of a, what I can only describe as a divine download. And I started working on it. It took me 2 years to write it, in between juggling young family and holding down a sales job. So early mornings before I hit the road, and then late nights before I'd go to bed. And came very, very close to getting a proper literary agent with a proper, probably the most famous literary agency in the world. But I won't say their name, because if this book finally makes it, then I'll try to spare their blushes. That's my hope anyway. And then I put it on the shelf because nothing really materialized. It didn't go as far as I would have liked. Then I nearly got scammed by another person pretending to be an agent. Thankfully I didn't fall for it, because even the basic elementary novelist who doesn't need to know a great deal knows that you don't pay an agent in advance. They take 15% of whatever you earn, and that's their risk and their reward. So it's been a long journey, and all that to say. And then I felt a bit of a nudge about probably 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago to be honest, to get it off the proverbial shelf, dust it down and read through it. And I read through it and I thought, well, it's not bad actually. And a couple of people close to me said, it's okay, but maybe it could do a bit more of this, a bit less of that, and make your sentences much shorter. That was the resounding theme that came through. And so I've worked really hard, spent money, invested a lot of time, had the opportunity during lockdown to really learn about the craft of writing a novel, because back 20 odd years ago I just thought, I've got the story, I've had this kind of download, I know the character, I know the rough premise, I'll flesh out the characters a bit and then I'll just get on with it. And that's no way to really present yourself. It's like showing up at a wedding in shorts and a short sleeve shirt. Maybe you get away with it these days, I don't know. Anyway, so I've spent a lot of time, quite a bit of money, getting it to the stage it's at now. And if you want to support me in that way, it would be wonderful. You can do it in a number of ways. I will send you a link when it's ready to go. I'm not there yet, and everything takes time. But there'll be a Kickstarter campaign which will get the project over the line and pay for the final, what they call developmental edit, and some other various ancillary costs. And then the idea behind that is that you, as a backer of the Kickstarter campaign, will get an advance copy, and depending on how much you choose to invest, you can get things like, and don't hold me to this, I'm just kind of making this up as I go along, I haven't got a script. But what I know from Kickstarter, as I've studied it and watched others, and I've even got a Kickstarter coach who's wonderful, you could invest a certain amount and that will get you a signed copy, hard copy, even a hardback copy, maybe even a leather bound copy. And who knows, like I said, if it finally makes it into the real world of books and people love it, then that could be worth quite a bit of money. But really it's a two-way street. It's rather than a GoFundMe where you're helping someone to get an operation or raise money for another country or whatever. This is where you exchange cash to help me get a project over the line, and in exchange, as a thank you for that, you get your very own unique kind of reward, they call it, in the Kickstarter world. So that's one way that you could help me, and I'd really appreciate anything that you would invest in, obviously. But like I said, if that's not your bag, that's completely fine as well, because some of you know me more than others. So what is the general premise of my first novel, The Hearts of the Fathers? The Hearts of the Fathers is about a teenage boy called Malachi. So you'll notice the Old Testament connection there, who frankly is really sick and tired of his very privileged, upper middle class, luxurious life, really, compared to most people. It feels like he's been a trophy only child for his whole life. And so one day in the middle of London, whilst having lunch with his dad, who he has a bit of a strained relationship, not strange relationship, he literally decides to run away right there in the middle of London. And set in the not too distant future in London, surrounded by all sorts of dark and dangerous corners, from police corruption on one side and a group of strange, definitely people that collectively call themselves the streets. And it's all about his journey and his quest for the truth, and eventually gets himself involved in a mission to expose this very high level police corruption. So I would say it is a thriller. It's not an Andy McNab or Lee Child kind of genre thriller, but I hope you'll think that it's a page turner when you do start to read it. I've had some really good feedback from some beta readers who I've sent it out to over the last year or so, and I've tweaked things here and there, polished it here and there, and it's very nearly ready. The whole purpose of the Kickstarter, as I've said before, is to cover the cost, which is probably the biggest single cost of the developmental edit. So the final kind of putting it together, looking at the story, does it really work that way? All sorts of different things. I've had an editor give me his services for a short story prequel, which is called A Sweet Punishment, and I'll send you a link to be able to get that, and that's a giveaway. That's what they call a reader magnet. So that's one of the strategies that I've learned over the last couple of years, because I need to build my list of people who are interested and waiting for the full-length novel to come out. Otherwise, as I've said, once I've badgered all my friends and family, maybe sell 100 copies. I'd like it to be more like 100,000 copies, or even more than that. Who knows? So I just thought I'd give you a little bit of a synopsis there, and hopefully that's piqued your interest, and I will be providing you with opportunities to find out more. Lots of love from Feltham, sunny Feltham. In fact, Bognor Regis just there, in partnership really with Chichester, which is just up the road. I don't know whether you know this, but have consistently been voted the sunniest place in the entire United Kingdom. We get the most sunshine hours than anywhere else in the country, and that is one of, if not the main reason why I've ended up living here, because who doesn't love the sun? Anyway, stay well, have a great day, and thanks again for watching and all your support.